Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to today's opinions video for Raw. We had loads of responses, loads of thoughts, so let's get into them. I've got the match scores for this week as well. I'm going to share my thoughts also, so let's get our teeth into this. Here we've got Lee. He said, splendid. Seems like he just really enjoyed Raw. Here we've got Sinister Files, who said, I don't usually get to watch the shows. I'm at work, and by the time I get home, they are normally over. I'm really into the Wyatt storyline so far, but the Liv Dom thing, that is so over. Need to turn the page? That's really interesting. That's really interesting because I think that a lot of people seem to still be on board with it, and I actually thought last night we took a little bit of a turn from the obvious. Last night is one of the first examples that I can remember where Liv actually failed since coming back. She set up the match for Dominik to have with his dad. Obviously, she needs Dominik to win that. It's no good setting up a match if he's then going to lose to his dad. That's only going to make things worse, right? He doesn't need to lose to his dad. But he did. She was at ringside and he did lose. So she was actually chasing after him, apologizing, and we've not seen that before. So, you know, is she going to have to make it up to him now? Is this going to be a big shift in the story? Like, yeah, I don't know. This is a really interesting one. So I actually think that we did something a little bit different. I think we've actually gone down a road where I'm not sure what we get now going forwards. I would expect them to obviously make up. I would expect it to be a case that she can do something for him that's going to win him back around, right? Like another match or, you know, something behind closed doors. I don't know. But I definitely am interested to see where we go from here. So interesting that you seem to be struggling with it, Sinister Files. I'd say give it another week. Give it another look. I think we are doing, even if it's just a little something different at the moment. Casey said, it was awesome. The mystery of Bo is awesome. It's cool to see him transform into Uncle Howdy. Lucifer said it was a pretty good episode, although I wasn't the biggest fan of the half-ass promo Jey and Chad tried to cut on the Wyatts. A little too early to have some at full flats, in my opinion. Well, I don't know if they cut a promo on the Wyatt. I mean, they did talk about them, but Jey is trying to not get involved. You know, he said, listen, I told Unk he can have the Fireflies back. I actually think what they did manage to achieve is get Jey out of that situation. A lot of people thought and think that Jey is going to be a target. I don't think he will, mainly because he's a face, and he's a very popular face, and it's just not going to be a good move, PR move, for the Wyatts to go after Jey Uso, because a load of the crowd will side with Jey, and I just don't think that's something that the Wyatts are looking for. Like, they're looking to stand up for the little guy. If anything, Jey is someone they would have saved from the bloodline. He's someone that they would have come to his rescue. So now that he's out of the bloodline, to be honest, there's not really a reason to go after him other than the Fireflies. As we've said so many times, they were given to him by the French fans at Backlash. He didn't ask for those. The French fans just started doing it. And ever since then, he's been very humble, very gracious. Backstage interviews, he's been like, man, it means so much to me. I feel Bray's presence. You know, he's been really lovely about it. There was one tweet that he put out where I think he got a bit angry in real life because he saw a load of people saying that he'd stolen them. And so he was like, I don't care what you think, these are mine now. And he's walked back from those comments quite a bit. He's actually reversed from those comments because I think he did in that moment just get a bit wound up, a bit angry. But yeah, ever since then, he's been like, listen, I feel Bray's presence. It's such a gift and blah, blah, blah. So last night he got to be on TV and sort of say, listen, if he wants them back, he can have them back. I'm not looking for any trouble. So I think that it was a way of getting Jey out of the firing line and just another way of keeping Chad in it. Because we know why they're going after Chad. He needs to sit down and apologize for what he's done. He needs to repent. if you watched our Nightbird video last night, or our Wyatt 6 video last night, you'll know that we were looking at the Bible reference that Chad made during his interview. And it was quite interesting because there was lots of things in there that you can tell connect to the current story. One of them is about repenting, and that showed itself in the QR code as well. So some really interesting stuff. If you've not seen that video, it's quite long, but we do cover and touch on a lot of different stuff from last night. And that was one. So I think this is a fair group that just wants those wrongdoers, those evildoers, to repent and really repent. So there is a way out for Chad. It's just he doesn't seem to want to take it. Right. But Uh-oh said, I would love for the Wyatt 6 to not wear those huge masks all the time. Only wear them on special occasions when they get angry, like Finn and the Demon. They could be their alter egos so that when they wrestle, they could move around in the ring. Well, I think the problem is those masks, you can't wrestle in them. So you can't turn into them because when that bell rings, you're not going to be able to wear the mask. With the Fiend, you can wrestle in the Fiend mask, and maybe you could wrestle in the Huskus mask, but I doubt it, right? Certainly you can't wrestle in that rabbit head, right? So when would you wear it? Because when that bell rings, you're gonna have to take it off. So I think the way that they're going about it at the moment is get the cool look of the group established, really get these characters that at the moment are more background characters, because I don't know if you, again, saw the video we did the other day, but Tom Colahue said that this first phase is heavily focused on Bo, and it will also focus on Nikki. Nikki is the messenger, if you will. That's why she has been chosen past few weeks to deliver the videotape, and we expect that going forward, right? So it's Bo, it's Nikki. They seem to be the major focuses. The others at the moment, they're just there to kind of look cool, to add a bit of atmosphere, to intimidate. I don't know if we're working towards a match involving those guys, like in the immediate future. Obviously, the first match, we're expecting it to be at SummerSlam, but we don't know what it is at this moment. But they ain't going to wrestle in those masks. There's no way. They're too big. They would fall off, and your balance would be off. I think trying to get oxygen for when you like taking deep breaths, I think that's going to be compromised. Like, there's no way. So I think they're actually at the moment establishing the characters, not worrying so much about the in-ring, because I think for those guys it might be a little bit further down the road. And eventually, yeah, they're going to have to take them off. An interesting question or thought is going to be when Rowan does take it off, what does he look like underneath? Same with Mercy, same with Huskus. Maybe the same with Nikki as well, because I don't know quite how her mask stays on. If it's similar to Asuka, then there's a mouthpiece that goes in the mouth and you bite on it, and that's how you hold the mask in place, right? So if that's how they've got Nikki's mask works, I don't think it's just string around the side. It could be, but I haven't seen that or spotted that. So it might be biting on the mouthpiece, which again, I mean, you're not going to be able to keep that on throughout a match. So it might be that, as expected, she is going to have to take that off as well if she wrestles. I think Howdy could wrestle in his, because his mouth is exposed, but I think literally all the others, they are going to have to take them off when they wrestle. So yeah, interesting thought. There's still lots and lots for us to discover with this group. Dwayne Duncan said, Raw was a decent show tonight. It was a good go-home show. Storylines keep advancing. So enjoyed that Bo segment with Uncle Howdy. John Elite said, I love the Wyatt 6 stalking Chads. I'm excited for Money in the Bank. After tonight, does Finn screw Damian on Saturday? Really love Zelina doing Alistair's move of making their opponents using their feet. I don't know that last bit. But going back to what you said in regards to Finn and Damian, I don't think so. I think they've planted the seed, and I think that this group is splitting up, but I just don't think it's yet. I really don't know, to be honest, how this is going to quite play. I think we get Damian Gunther at SummerSlam. You could switch it and put the belt onto Seth, but I feel pretty confident that Gunther's winning that belt at SummerSlam. So if you do switch it, that means Seth's going to have the belt for like a month. Like, he's not going to really... Maybe he'll have one defense on Raw or something like that, but I don't know. That seems a bit strange, to be honest. You could do Damian versus Finn at SummerSlam. You absolutely could, right? But are we going to do Seth Gunther with Seth losing the title so soon? I mean, perhaps Gunther doesn't win, but it's hard to picture that. He has just had this record-breaking Intercontinental Championship run. He then wins King of the Ring. He wins an opportunity at SummerSlam to become world champion. It's hard to see him now falling short. They seem to be all in with him. So, I don't know. The stumbling block for me is Seth just getting such a short title reign. That's not really how Triple H operates. I really think that the odds for me are that Damian wins, because I think that he will then get past Seth. It means Seth can't challenge for the championship whilst Damian has got it, but that's not going to be a problem if Damian loses it at SummerSlam. Finn could cost Damian at SummerSlam, and then that sets up long term. So it could be that he costs him at SummerSlam, and then, as we said, maybe doing it because he doesn't like how much it's changed Damian. I mean, that's something that Finn said. Obviously Drew against CM Punk, I think we're all expecting that. Not sure where that would fit Seth into the picture at SummerSlam. That's an interesting one. But I don't know. It's a real tricky one. It's one of those where I don't think you can have a great deal of confidence any which way. But because of that little Seth title reign, which just doesn't feel like a Triple H thing to do, I'm going to say that I think Damian retains. I think Finn costs him in the match with Gunther. So, interesting. I like good conversation. Jaw said, epic. Svagato Sakar said, it was a great episode. Loving the entire Judgment Day saga. It's true. I mean, what we've just spoke about there, we're trying to figure out. I mean, it feels like this group are splitting. But when are they splitting? It feels like Damian's coming out, but when are they coming out? And it feels like Rhea's coming back, but when is she coming back? How do all these pieces fit together? Mel said, do we think that Chad Gable will get a new entrance since there is no more Alpha Academy? Good shout. I mean, I don't know is the answer, because what if there is a new Alpha Academy? What if Chad Gable and the Creeds and Ivy Nile become Alpha Academy? So there's no need for them to change it because Chad just moves on. Out with the old, in with the new. We're the Alpha Academy. I mean, I don't know if they'll change the name. Maybe they'll change it to Beta Academy, right? Or like maybe Alpha Academy 2.0 or the new Alpha Academy or the Alpha Creeds, or I don't know. Will they change that name? Will they keep running with it and just change the members? Just sort of kick Otis and Maxine and Akira to the curb? It's hard to say, to be honest. They could totally change it and go with the new name, or as we said, they could just refresh the group. But I like that, Mel. That's a good question. That is a good question. That's not one that I had pondered, but yeah, I mean, it does seem like he's not getting back with Otis and Akira and all of those guys. It does seem like the Creeds and Ivy Nile are coming in, but does he stick with the Alpha Academy name, or do we get something brand new? SMR31 said, I love Drew, but we don't need him in Money in the Bank and winning to advance his story. I completely agree. I hope Jey or Chad win over him for potential stories. I agree. We don't need Drew to win Money in the Bank, right? A lot of people have said, imagine him winning, and then actually CM Punk costs him for the cash-in. But I don't like that, because I really like Money in the Bank, and I really like the cash-in moments. And if we're going to sort of throw that away just to put a little bit more fuel onto what is already a raging fire, I mean, you think about everything that's happened between Drew and CM Punk. Like, do we need to sacrifice the Money in the Bank cash-in as well? I really hope not. I would love to see Sami get his hands on that briefcase. But if Sami doesn't, because, I mean, he's not even in the match, but because it's in Canada, you never know if, like, he might lose the IC title to Bron and then Adam Pearce announce. Maybe he gets screwed in that match. And so Adam Pearce, like, announces we've got an extra person. They've done it so many times where we just chuck an extra person into the ladder match. It's in Canada as well. Could you imagine if Sami gets inserted somehow into that ladder match and wins it? It would be bananas in Toronto. It would be brilliant. But at the moment, he's not in the match. And I don't even know that he's going to be in the match. So we've got to go with someone in the lineup. And I'm leaning, obviously, towards Jey Uso. I think that CM Punk might cost Drew during the match, right? It might be that Drew's about to win, but actually CM Punk stops him. Like, you can do that. I don't mind that for a second. But please don't have Drew win the briefcase and then have Punk cost him, because you're just throwing the briefcase away at that point. So I completely agree. SMR31. Alex said Raw was good. Zelina should have just minded her own business instead of Liv's business. I should have been in Dominik's position when he was on top of Liv. Liv said to Dom that she's going to fix it. Maybe a mixed tag match? Oh, that's a good thought, actually. I never thought about that. A mixed tag match. So 9 out of 10, said Alex. That's actually quite interesting. Yeah, she said she'll fix it. I mean, you don't know quite what that means, but yeah, that's a really good thought, that is, buds. I just wanted to take a moment to talk about the matches as well, because obviously, as we know, we scored them during our live stream. So Xavier versus Karrion got good 87%. Weird booking on that. Why did Xavier win that? I mean, I really thought Karrion was driving a wedge between Xavier and Kofi. And I don't know. I mean, that can't be the end of that story, because New Day got absolutely destroyed afterwards. So why have Xavier win? That's really not the direction I would have took that, to be honest. Liv against Zelina got a good 95%. I actually thought that that might have deserved to have just clicked into great. At the end, where we were getting loads of back and forth and near falls, and, you know, you got Ray on the outside, Dominik, it really felt quite exciting to me. I think that maybe deserved a bit better than good 95%. I really thought that that match grabbed my attention, held my attention, and, you know, I was really invested in those final stages. Zoey against Ivy against Dakota, good 92%. So Zoey picking up the victory in that. Good 92, so didn't really blow people's minds. Ray against Dominik got good 96 as well. I would say I don't know that it was better than the women's match earlier, Liv and Zelina. But I still thought that it was, yeah, pretty good, to be honest. So I'm pleased to see that that's right at the top end of good. I wouldn't have minded if that had just clicked over, to be honest, and gone into great. But no doubt about what you lot enjoyed the most. Drew versus Ilja versus Sheamus. That did click into great, and it got great 71%. So you lot really enjoyed the main event. But, I mean, of course, I mean, you got Drew, you got Ilja, you got Sheamus. All three are amazing. I mean, it's very reminiscent of Drew, Sheamus, Gunther from the other year at WrestleMania 39, right? I mean, we know how good Ilja is, so you take Gunther out, you put Ilja in. I mean, it's pretty much like for like, to be honest. These are two dominant, passionate, give everything they've got superstars. So putting them in there with Drew and Sheamus, I mean, that was always going to bang. The downside, I suppose, was the commercial breaks. Would have loved for it to have had that little bit longer, you know. that little bit longer, like with less commercial interruptions, and for it to have been on like a PLE stage. So definitely a match I would love for us to revisit at some point. But yeah, I'd say the in-ring was pretty good this week, actually. Main event banged. Ray Dominik was a lot of fun. I think the Xavier Karrion one really sort of underwhelmed me. That, I think, was the low point, but Liv and Zelina, really enjoyed it. Sean said, for WWE, the product has got much better over the last year with Papa H running things. Hopefully it continues to improve with matches, storylines, and production. And it appears they have their next breakout stars, no pun intended, in Bron Breakker and Tiffany Stratton. Miss Clown said it was a decent show, to be fair. I like how they did the Wyatt SICKS segments. I think it was the right way. All in all, pretty sexy. Rizo said, great episodes. Bo Taylor is a fantastic actor. I want to see the Wyatt SICKS cause carnage during the Money in the Bank match and cost Gable the briefcase. It's true, actually. We just spoke about Drew being costed thanks to CM Punk. You know, are the Wyatts going to get involved as well? Maybe they attack Chad before that match even happens and Sami takes his place. I could totally see that, actually. I could totally see that. Maybe Chad gets attacked and Sami takes his spot. Oh my God, I just so want to find a way of getting Sami in there. That's all I want, really. I just want to get Sami in there. So, yeah, let's see. I don't think they will have CM Punk and the Wyatts both getting involved during the match. So, for that reason, it does make me wonder if they attack Chad before. Ratchet the Owl said, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm on board with every single story, and the Money in the Bank card is solid. Ludwig nailed his promo. Bo is not just killing it, he's reveling in it. Like the Kross Woods feud and more. Liking the Kross Woods feud and more. Dom is a legend in the making. Solid show, 9.5. Chris said, it was awesome. Watson said, I love that Drew in Money in the Bank. I love that Drew's in Money in the Bank. The fact it had cost him the belt at Mania. And he even said he hates the idea of Money in the Bank, so he has to win it for me. It's totally in his character to be holding the briefcase after everything that he said about it. That's an excellent comment. I mean, I hope it doesn't go that way. But that is an excellent comment, to be honest. Because it's true, he has said about how much he despises Money in the Bank, how it's a cheap way to win the championship. So for him to get that and be that person would be, you know, contradictory to the highest degree. So Watson, I think that's an excellent, excellent comment. But I hope he doesn't win it, right? I want Sami, right? But I think that's a great comment. Crossman, shout out to you. Says, WWE proved something last night. Crying on stream doesn't get you a push. So there we go, Crossman. Hope you're well. Referee Jimmy said, great visuals tonight when Wyatt SICKS blocked Chad from exiting the arena. The VHS tape of Bo and Uncle Howdy coming together as one needs not be overlooked. Quite possible Howdy strikes in the men's Money in the Bank. If not, next Monday when Jey faces Gable. Everyone is in danger. Yeah, I think once we get past Money in the Bank, I think you're right. I think we step things up. I think at the moment, the Wyatts have sort of introduced themselves. But, you know, that kind of introduction period is done now. So now we're going to move on to the next phase. And that next phase is, I think, after Money in the Bank, where we then build towards SummerSlam. So you're right. Everyone is in danger. Certainly if everyone is called Chad. Sam said, I speak for everyone when I say we miss CM Punk. Ian said, solid. Once again showing the quality that we are getting under the new era. Plenty of storylines actually developing. And the Wyatt SICKS scaring the daylights out of Chad. What's not to love? Well, Tiger Claw Gaming was not too keen. Craig says, super goods. Dean said, Raw was good. I love the Wyatt SICKS stuff. Matches were good. Main event was a banger. Yeah, that really came across. Can't wait for Money in the Bank. I think Liv has stolen Dom from Mommy. Can't wait for Mommy's return. Can't wait to see who is Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank. Deem's just loving it, man. Nishi said it was an excellent show, which ended in that triple threat classic between Drew, Sheamus, and Ilja. Loved everything about it. Al says, thought it was good. One note, would have loved to have seen Dakota Kai win tonight. Loved the White Six. I think they kept her out because EO is in. So I think they didn't want too many Damage Control members in the same match. Would have been interesting if they were. Maybe there would have been a moment where they're both climbing the ladder. And it's like, oh, this is awkward, right? So that could have been fun. But I think they probably just wanted one person to represent Damage Control. So I could understand it. Rico said another emotional promo by Bo. I never thought Bo had Bray's mannerisms, but it's getting eerie. They forgot about us. Has so much reality. 3 of the 5 were released. Gacy could have languished in NXT after Schism broke up. And Nikki ASH seemed like a test. Yeah, I think you've nailed it, to be honest. I said during the Wyatt 6 video last night, I think they did something last night which was really important. They found a way of educating those that weren't really engaged in the QR codes and bringing people up to speed with this story that we take for granted because we couldn't have dug much deeper into those QR codes. So we know this stuff, but there's lots of people that don't. But they found a way of kind of bringing everyone up to speed, but doing it in such an interesting, captivating way that it didn't really feel like we were getting shortchanged. I mean, I was able to do a video last night, which really should have gone like 10 minutes because a lot of the points that were made are things that we knew, but it ended up going 40 odd minutes. I mean, I do love talking, right? And it probably should have been a little bit shorter than it was, right? But even so, there was no problem talking about everything that went down because there was so much that went down and there were so many thoughts and theories. They still found a way of ticking that box. So, yeah, hats off to them. Although I'm not going to take my hat off because my hair's actually a mess. But, yeah, it was great. I agree. Cut for Life said, I feel like we're fueled by anticipation. We're just waiting for the next Wyatt 6 input. Outside of that, I thought it was quite average, says Cut for Life. And King Joker said, very solid go home. The major storylines progressed nicely. Wyatt 6 video was dark, it was deep, and it piggybacked off last week. I agreed, this felt obviously very much like part 2. Money in the Bank is locked and looks very promising this week. Raw did its job. I mean, score-wise, I'd probably give this Raw like a 7, maybe a 7.25. I don't know that there was like that OMG moment, if you will, although I did like the start with Chad, you know, being intimidated. A few little things in the background as well. Apparently that was Mercy in the background when Otis and Chad were having a conversation. I don't know if you saw, but the Huskus mask or puppet was under the truck for an exclusive WWE interview that happened. I never even saw that interview. I'd already recorded the Wyatt 6 video by the time that had actually dropped. So that will feature later in the next Wyatt 6 video. But yeah, that was definitely, key, if you will, to keeping people engaged because people love looking in the backgrounds and spotting little bits and seeing, oh, what's going on there, what's happening here. So, they're kind of training us to still be vigilant and keep our eyes out for puppets, for characters, for things that are just not quite right. So, yeah, I love all of that. I think that it's just a clever, simple, easy way of keeping people engaged. So, I agree. I think they're doing a really good job with it all at the moment. Money in the Bank looks locked and loaded. Matches were good to great, but I don't think they were necessarily mind-blowing, although I did enjoy the main event. I think a lot of boxes got ticked, but I don't know that like, oh my god, you need to see this moment box was necessarily ticked, although the Chad stuff was good, right, at the very start. And Jey making his entrance, that was pretty sick as well. So, yeah, I'm leaning like 7.25, which solid for a go-home. Might be one of the best go-homes I've ever seen. Normally go-home shows are absolute garbage. So might be one of the best go-homes I've ever seen. But with that, we're going to wrap things up there. We could keep going and going through people's thoughts and comments, but I really want to try and keep this to around that half-hour kind of point, because I don't want us to get too repetitive. And, you know, I do want to try and get to as many people's thoughts as possible, but I also want it to be in a little video package that's easy to watch and doesn't feel like a giant commitment. So I think about half an hour makes sense. So there we go. Appreciate the support, my friends. Hope you enjoyed Raw. We're back later for NXT. And of course, we'll have plenty of videos on the way this week as we build towards Money in the Bank. Bye for now.